Hey folks, Mr. Johnny Cash here with my personal build of the week. Today I'm explaining how the Koreans, mainly Kemongi, a challenger player, are playing a flexible, nice and stable reroll version of the 6 Battlecast build. If you're into slow and steady climbing, this might be just the build for you, since it's the most guaranteed top 4 build I've ever played myself. Let's see how a meme might turn into meta. Let's jump straight into it. Let me give you a quick guide in case you're in a hurry. This is the standard board that I'm usually ending up with in my games. We try to 3-star as many units as possible while making sure we reach level 8 towards the end of the game to fit 6 battlecasts. In order to do that efficiently, we are required to slow roll at level 5 up until we reach stage 4. Prioritize Cockmore over Graves, followed by Eloy and Nocturne. Don't roll to 0 unless you're facing death. The comp is built around getting safe top 4 placements, and sometimes even wins lobbies with perfect cock items and a 3-star board. Cockmore with Red Buff and Runan's Hurricane are heavy core items for this build. The rest is more flexible, but I'll go into more detail later in the item section. You can fill out empty spots besides Battlecast with whatever the lobby requires, either it's Mystics, Infiltrators, or Brawlers. Also here you can find more details in the variation sections. If this caught your interest, I ask you to keep watching as I give my best explaining how to successfully run this comp even on the higher elos. Okay, so let's take a closer look at the units and the required items. I'll mark the units with a star if I suggest to 3-star them. Let's start with the most important unit in this comp, Cockmore. He will always be our main source of damage when playing this build, and he does the job extraordinarily well, given he has his core items, Red Buff and Hurricane of course. I stopped forcing this build every game and started playing it only when I start the game with Red Buff or 2 of the 4 required components, which boosted my placements with this comp a lot. In order to get the most out of Cockmore, we want to pair him with a blaster. Graves is a very strong one cost that can easily pick up while slow rolling for cock. He's also a very solid frontliner that is bringing tons of CC to our board. A 5-second blind on carries like Jhin, Vayne, or Jinx can win you a fight. He doesn't need any specific items, he usually holds our utility items like CC Rod or Redemption, and is the first unit that we want to slam a Battlecast spatula on, should we get it early. CC Rod, by the way, is a huge item for our build. We are lacking frontline, and a 3-star CC Rod is bringing 3000 HP to the table. Unfortunately, the minion doesn't count as a Battlecast unit though, which is strange since, according to my information, they used to count as Dark Stars when the wearer was one, so I really don't get that change there, but yeah. Eloy is our frontline next to Graves, and to be honest, she does not really excel at her job very well. Still, we need her to activate our trait, and since she is a 1-cost, again she can be picked up easily while rolling for Cockmore. It's usually not worth itemizing her over other units, but she's our number 1 Thief's Gloves holders. Nocturne is a great unit with solid DPS and CC for the enemy backline, great to get 2-star early in the game to start some streaking, and another 1-cost Battlecast, so very easy to pick up. Try to have him jump on the enemy backline, of course. Koreans love to put their AD or defensive utility items like Frozen Heart or Ionic Spark on him. And yeah, I've seen him doing some work with that. Cassio is usually our 4th Battlecast unit at level 5. If you have AP mana items at this point, definitely give them to her. She's doing a nice job proccing Battlecast and can be a reliable damage source next to Cock. Don't bother 3-starring her, it'll ruin your eco most likely and your chances of going level 8 too. Victor and Urgot are the units we need to activate the 6 Battlecast trait if we didn't get a spatula before. It's the strongest spike you can get playing this build if you get Victor before Cassio or get mana AP items late. You can stack him instead. With the recent mana buffs, he's a nice source of burst damage, so it's definitely worth going for that. Last unit is flexible and more of a trait bot. We usually don't bother itemizing any of them. Now that we've seen the units and items, let's head over to take a look at the playstyle. I mentioned it earlier and I had to tank a lot of LP before realizing it. Don't force this comp if you're not starting with either Red Buff or Hurricane before stage 2 or have at least 2 item components for them. Even if you can get them later, you want these 2 items before stage 3 starts, Otherwise, your mid game will be a disaster since you bleed out HP too quickly. Start Carousel with one of the 4 required components based on your playstyle. I, for example, love to pivot into protectors or mech, so I like starting with either belt or chain. Let's say you prefer Shredder or Blade Masters, you can also start with a bow to easily pivot into them. Stage 2 is a hard econ playstyle. We want to slow roll at level 5, so we only pick up the units we need in our comp and always try to make as much interest as possible. This sometimes comes even close to open forting. We definitely want to lose streak though. 3 things will usually happen in the early game unless we mega high roll. We get first pick on carousel to make sure we get our core component, while praying to not get mordocked in the carousels. We're at 50 plus gold after Crux and can start slow rolling at 3-1. We tanked 30 HP and unfortunately sit at 70 HP remaining. I once forced this comp in a high challenger lobby with, I think, Soju in it without cock items, and I died before stage 4, which was hilarious. I think I killed 0 units the entire game. Anyways, if we managed to economy well and got our 2 items completed now with the help of Crux, we usually start spiking. You can hopefully roll 2 or 3 times while still being level 4 and get your whole board upgraded. Once we are level 5, we continue to roll for our units for the whole of stage 3. We're also trying to find Cassio or Victor as sap to play 4 battlecasts. I usually start win streaking once I get the 4 battlecasts straight online. Always stop slow rolling if you get cock 3 and up to level instead. I roll down to about 20-30 gold at stage 4-1 if I'm close to 3-star in cock, or if I'm only missing 1 or 2 1 costs, and then I level to level 6 to fill in whatever is needed. I usually fit in Karma for Mystics and to buff cock. Fizz or Echo is also a nice power boost, especially if you have a 3-star Nocturne. Or you can go for any brawler if your frontline is too weak. If you're not losing HP, you can slow level to 8 and roll for Urgot and Victor to play 6 battlecasts. But if you're weak, which can happen in an unlucky rolldown, you should use all your gold to level to 7 as soon as possible and fill in any unit to help you stabilize. Sometimes you even high roll an Urgot on level 7 or get him from a carousel in stage 4, so you can play 6 battlecasts at level 7, which should be a guaranteed top 4 at this point. Unfortunately, we spiked at level 8 playing 6 battlecasts, which should be an easy top 4 though by now. There's not much more in this comp that can help you win lobbies. Your best bets are either 3-star Kog'Maw with perfect items, which in my opinion is red buff, hurricane, and something like static shift. Or you can 2-star Urgot with a GA and blue buff, which can carry you a long way. Or you just high roll 2 battlecast spats for the 8 trade bonus, which should be a free win because usually, guys, it's actually disgustingly OP. I've only seen it once though, if I remember correctly. But yeah, if you get it, it's usually a free win. Holders for the spatulas, by the way, are Graves, nice for the early game, and Echo, great for the late game. Not much to talk about in this topic. I already mentioned the variations a few times during the video. We fill out the empty spots next to our 2, 4, 6 battlecasts with whatever trade we need. Karma for Mystics, Fizz Echo for Infiltrator, which is more damage, or Gnar for more frontline. If you didn't get Golden Graves, it's also worth to think about playing Blitzcrank and Asriel instead for Chrono and Brawler buffs. I love 3-star Graves though. Once committed to the build, I wouldn't transition out of it. Anyways, let's say you slow roll on 5 and suddenly find 3 Jinxes, you can easily use this board to transition into any sort of Jinx carry. Red buff and Hurricane are more than decent items for any blaster build. I personally had lots of fun playing this comp. It was very rough because I watched hours of now deleted gameplay of this build from a Korean challenger player and then tried to copy it on my Diamond Smurf. Forcing it there worked really well, but as soon as I got comfortable with the build and played it on my main in Master, Grandmaster, Challenger lobbies, I tanked lots of 8s because I tried to hard force it. Know when to play it, and you have a solid, strong build on your hands that is currently even receiving a huge amount of buffs on the 10.16 PBE patch in the units and the trade itself, as far as I can remember. If they go through like that, we got a new contender for the new S+ tier comp, in my opinion, for the next patch. If you practice it now, you'll have a huge edge over other players. Anyways, that was it for today, guys. I hope you liked the content. As always, if you want to see more videos like that, consider subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate all the support I've received in the last weeks. If you guys want me to upload a gameplay example of the build, let me know in the comments. I'm out for now. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.